This conference is being recorded.
Okay, Mark, I'm back, and I'm here if you need me.
When I click on share the share application, it doesn't
I
enable.
have to do this first. 1 second. Okay, now it should say that you have become the presenter.
Oh, cool.
And then you should try it again. It should work for you now.
Yeah, no, it works now. Thanks.
Okay, good. I see it.
I see it.
If you close that and instead, did you do share application? Okay, yes. Okay, so then if you just start the slideshow by pressing play.
Yep.
I think the top right, or however you start it, then we'll just see the full, we'll see it in full screen.
Okay.
Yeah,
like
perfect.
That.
Perfect.
Yeah. Cool.
That looks terrible, Mark.
That's got to be Kevin. That's because you did it, Kevin.
Oh.
Now, if you go back.
How are you? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good, and I'm good, and other than being exhausted from all of the, the inundation of consumerism.
I know it.
Yeah.
It's so sad, isn't it?
My oldest, it was funny, my oldest son who's 15, he said, Thursday morning, he's like, Dad, let's go to Black Friday. Let's go at 10 o'clock. Like, what do you want to buy? He said, nothing. I just want to watch it.
Oh, my God. Did you guys go? Because
No way.
Yeah.
There's no way I'd do it. But I think that's funny that his perspective was, I don't want to buy anything. I just want to watch people.
That's wild. That is wild.
How was yours? Was it good?
Yeah, we just actually our older son lives in L.A. and he flew the 16-year-old out to Los Angeles to go to that USC Notre Dame game. So they had a blast.
Boo!
Yeah.
I went to UCLA, so.
Oh, did you? Well, UCLA is doing great this year.
Yeah, well, they got a rematch against Stanford now, so.
I think that's the weirdest thing. I hope they beat the hell out of Stanford this weekend.
Well, so do I.
But that is so bizarre, isn't it? It's like a rematch.
Well,
I do like the new uniforms, though, the UCLA uniforms. They look cool.
Yeah, that was a shock to me, actually.
Was it? You're used to the powder blue?
Yeah. So the new retro uniforms.
Yeah. That's exciting. Do you think there's a chance they can win this one? What's the thinking?
I don't know what the line is on it right now. I mean, Stanford clearly is favored, but
right.
if UCLA plays the way they played against SC, they could beat anybody.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, it was a big weekend last weekend in Los Angeles for USC and Notre Dame and UCLA. Stanford.
So, Mark, you live in the Naples area. Naples. So
yeah.
I'm gonna be close to you, not that close, but I'm gonna be on Anna Maria the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, fun! Oh, that'll be a blast. Oh,
it'll be a whole lot warmer than it is here, that's for sure.
Well, how cold is it in Washington today? Is it like 30s?
Yeah, I don't think it broke. Well, last time I looked, it had just broken 40, but 2 days ago we had a high of 39.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, my apartment was in waterfront, and I would walk to the Department of Energy, which is pretty close, just walk up the hill. But man, I'll tell you, it does whip through there.
Yeah, I'll just do an intro and then take it away. No. Me, I never want to be on camera. I love Taylor. Taylor is my savior.
But you got on okay, right, Kevin? Because Taylor said she had some issues.
Yeah, I had no problem at all.
Huh. Are you in the office today?
I am. I'm sitting at my desk.
Yeah.
and she's just around the corner from me, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's funny because Google Chrome doesn't do well with WebEx, so I went back to Safari.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I'm using Chrome, and I've never had a problem.
Maybe it's are you running a Mac or are you running a PC?
I'm running a PC.
That's got to be it then.
Yeah.
For some reason, Chrome and Mac, well, you know, they hate each other.
I think it's anything Google and anything Apple don't like each other.
Right. Yeah, isn't that funny how the nemesis have changed, you know, from what it was and
No, you know, it used to be the great battle was between Apple and Microsoft. Now it's Google and Apple, and Microsoft is, you know, sitting on the sidelines watching them duke it out.
Right, exactly. That's funny.
So, Mark, do you have any suggested must-dos for the trip down to the Tampa Bay area?
For the trip down to Tampa Bay, what's that?
Yeah, for our trip for our week in Anna Maria, any must-dos?
Yeah,
we've never spent any time there.
Oh, okay. There's a really cool. I'll send you an email. But there's there's tons of things to do besides going to where our generals are. You know, you don't want to go near there. But
no.
Tarpon Springs and all that. That's just so wonderful with all the food and everything. I'll send you an email this afternoon, Kevin, with some
awesome.
great ideas.
Awesome.
You'll love it. It'll be perfect weather because you're actually. You know, it's actually halfway up the state, but it'll be sunny and 70 to 80 every day.
That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, it'll be 70 when you wake up, and it'll get up to 83 or 85, and it'll be, you know, not a cloud in the sky, and it'll be perfect. You know, for Floridians, that's considered cold.
That reminds me of there's an old cartoon. First frame is summer in San Diego, and the caption reads 75 degrees and sunny, and there's the quintessential Southern Californian sitting on the beach, you know. And then the next frame is winter in San Diego, and it says 68 degrees and sunny, and the same person is sitting on the beach in a parka.
Yeah, that's what we're like. Yep. Yep. The blood is thin. That's funny.
Hey, Mark, are you planning on being on webcam for this?
No, I'll just do the
PowerPoint
phone thing. Yep.
Okay. Sounds good.
Kayla, what was the response for this? Did we get quite a few people?
Most of the local directors said yes. Let me just check it really quickly.
Good. I mean, I had confirmation from a bunch of them too. So.
And I also got an email from Amy Byrne. She spoke on one of the panels at the Community College Initiative for the Democracy Commitment.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, that is something she was interested in too.
By the way, if you ever need it, Kevin, you can stay at UCLA fraternities and sororities during the summer, if your kids ever want to do an internship in LA.
Yeah, no, well, I was in a fraternity at UCLA.
Yeah, my daughter stayed at one of the sororities there, and, you know, they gave you lunch and dinner, and it was fabulous. Used the workout facilities.
Oh, yeah. Well, the sororities are a lot better than fraternities there.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Somebody just joined.
This is Steve from Seattle.
Hello, Steve.
Hello.
We'll get started shortly.
Great.
Steve, are you getting all the rain?
No, it's been beautiful here a couple of days.
Oh, good. Congratulations. Yeah. They're talking about a big, it must be in California, like San Francisco and LA are getting a ton of rain, I guess.
Yeah, usually when they get the rain, we don't. It means
really?
Our rain shifted south. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Usually either or.
This is your rainy season, Kevin, in LA.
Yeah, it's the rainy month.
Right.
Yeah, people in LA are such wimps when it comes to weather.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why, they complain about the rain, do they?
Yeah. It was warm today, you know. Like, oh my gosh.
Mark, do you plan on using the full hour for your presentation?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we had planned on, Mark, I think we talked about like half hour-ish for going through it and then opening it up to Q&A.
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay, that's good. So then that means we can give more folks a little bit more time to join.
Right.
I'm seeing so far. Kevin, are you looking at the attendee list?
I was not.
So far, Avni, Casey, you, Steve, and me.
Taylor, is there any video associated with the call?
You should be seeing Mark's PowerPoint.
Yes, but not Mark himself.
No webcam today.
Great.
Gary Harris.
Hi, Gary. Gary, are you able to join on your computer to watch the PowerPoint?
I had to download the software, so it takes 19 minutes to download.
Oh, wow.
So it's in the process right now.
Okay.
But so I'm joining via the phone until it downloads.
No problem. No problem.
Okay. I should be there shortly though.
Sure.
Okay.
You know, Gary, that's not very fast for a nuclear scientist.
He might have muted himself. Is there anyone else on the phone who's not on the WebEx? Okay. All right. Mark, I think we'll start in about a minute.
Cool. And I forgot to send you a copy of this too, Taylor, so you can send it out to people or post it.
That's fine. I usually send out the link the next day just to give me time to upload it to YouTube. So if you can just send it to me anytime between now and then, that would be perfect.
Okay.
I see on the list Amy, Avni, Casey, Kevin, Steve, and Gary. Is there anyone else who's on the phone? think we can go ahead.
All right. People join, they join. That's okay.
Yeah, we don't want to be too late.
Good. Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for taking the time today. This is Kevin, and we are very pleased to be able to present this webinar for you after a lot of effort to try to find the right time to do it and a lot of patience on the part of Mark. We were able to schedule it. By way of brief introduction, for those of you who don't know Mark Johnson, Mark is founder and president of HelpAnswers.org, which is a nonprofit sustainability organization. He has 40 years of energy efficiency and renewable energy experience working for a number of major players in the space, including the U.S. Department of Energy, Johnson Controls, and he's also a certified general contractor. So he understands the construction business and all of the pluses and minuses and bells and whistles and pains and successes involved in that business. Mark is clearly one of the leaders in retrofit experience and retrofit knowledge, and perhaps most importantly is a really great supporter and friend of Emerald Cities Collaborative. He has been extremely supportive of the organization from its inception, and today we are very happy to give Mark the opportunity to present to all of you a very introductory overview of some technology solutions for remote sensing that can be used to assess and benchmark buildings. And we think this has a lot of potential as a valuable offer to our project partners in all of your cities. So with that, I'd like to introduce to you Mark Johnson.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and thank you, Taylor, for hosting this webinar. My name is Mark Johnson, and as Kevin mentioned, I graduated from the Department of Energy. You might have known me when I was with EECBG, handing out $3.5 billion to 2,500 cities, counties, and states. And that's really where the genesis of the nonprofit that I founded started, because at the Department of Energy, of course, just like everywhere else, you can't see energy, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. So we always grappled with ways to visualize energy loss and to make it an imprint on your brain, certainly for non-technical types who really are writing the checks for a lot of the upgrades and retrofits, but don't understand what the engineers are talking about and what crazy words like recommissioning or upgrades or retrofits even mean. So what you'll see in this PowerPoint, which again Taylor will post for you tomorrow, but using new technologies to enhance energy audits and Energy Star Portfolio Manager. And the three fundamental technologies are, some of them are not Star Wars. One is Google Maps that you're looking at right now, but also we use infrared thermography, which again is not new, but using it to show energy loss really does make a big impression. And the third thing that may not be well visualized here is we actually can measure energy live at the circuit breaker level. So a typical building will have a panel of like 32 circuit breakers, and each circuit breaker can be measured and verified for live measurement and verification if you wanted to identify, again, energy loss. But the purpose of this PowerPoint is our 501c3, obviously in collaboration with Emerald Cities, provides Energy Star Portfolio Manager. And you know there's a lot of movement across the United States to make Energy Star Portfolio Manager the standard or the minimum level of performance for scoring your buildings. A lot of the problem is that people have never tied their energy bill to the building and then don't have the blueprints to figure out the square footage to fill out the forms. So we do all that. it's a lot of dirty work, and you're welcome to call upon us to help get not just buildings, but as you know, building portfolios into Energy Star. And again, the building portfolio people across the United States and in each one of your Emerald cities includes all of your school districts, your K-12s, all of your colleges and universities, of course, with their campuses. And then, of course, the cities and the counties and the state agencies all of these groups all have anywhere from 2 to 1,000 buildings, depending upon your city. Los Angeles school district is nearly 1,000 buildings. The city of Los Angeles is, I think, about 750 buildings. So that's a large scope. But on the smaller side, the picture you're looking at on slide 1 here, that's Des Moines Public Schools. And I think they have around 50 total buildings. And there's a good example of how we've tried to take the Energy Star Portfolio Manager scoring system and make it easier. And here's an example of how every month with new energy data from the utility fed into Energy Star Portfolio Manager, you can obviously color code your buildings, the red being below 50 out of 100, which is failing in most schools, but certainly failing for Energy Star building. And forget the yellow and the green because they're doing fine for the purposes of the building anyway. This is a good way just to see and focus on red buildings that need the next logical step. Again, what we do as a 501c3 not-for-profit is all of these things on the slide 2 that you're looking at. And we get our compensation from the utilities have DSM programs, demand-side management programs, and energy efficiency programs. You might know that about 2 to 5% of all utility revenues have to go to DSM and EE programs as promulgated by the local public utilities commissions. So you'll see a lot of and if you're not familiar with that, I can explain it to you, but you'll see a lot of energy efficiency or demand-side management programs being conducted throughout the United States. You know, PG&E is very active in this area, but all utilities have EE programs cooking, and that's where we get part of our funding. Many times they're tapped out on these funds, and so we just do a energy savings performance contract for light upgrades, lighting and window film and that kind of thing, and that pays for the engineering and the uploading of the information to track energy. So, but as a 501c3, as you can imagine, we don't have a profit component, so we're definitely the lowest cost in doing this kind of stuff. The other issue that you've all experienced out there with your local Emerald cities is that the time to upgrade buildings, and certainly building portfolios, it always seems to take a long time. And as Kevin mentioned, I graduated from Johnson Controls. Our typical selling cycle was anywhere from 2 to 4 years, and which you know is crazy. And that was primarily because we were trying to sell a $15 to $20 million chiller or boiler or something. But to get a building upgraded should really take a lot quicker than that. It should be under a year or 2 years, that type of thing. The fastest way to do it, of course, is to identify which buildings need help, which ones are needy, and then drilling down and zooming in on those buildings with audits, energy audits, and to do that quite quickly. Now, the energy audit that we use is by the DOE. It's called eQuest. It's free, just like EPA Energy Star Portfolio Manager is free. So that is the most vetted, the most approved by engineers, by ASHRAE, for instance, the governing body for the Air Conditioning Trade Association, and all the other stakeholder groups. eQuest is really kind of the standard. So we use that, but we also couple that, of course, with infrared thermography that you'll see as we get into the presentation. Now we're on page 4, and this gives you just a kind of a easy look-see at building portfolios. Again, our focus is on 2 to 1,000 buildings, because the problem for the K-12 colleges, cities, is that they don't know what to do first. You know, they have so many buildings, they barely can keep up with maintenance. So what we like to do is to help them just identify the needy buildings and then drill down on those. And the way we do it is this 3-step process that's itemized here. Same thing on page 5, slide 5. Identify the worst performing buildings. Usually you'll find, and I'm sure that anybody that's done this, they've found that it's buildings that are the largest and the oldest in the portfolio. And when I say largest, typically anything above 25,000 square feet, certainly anything above 50,000 square feet, that's when you're really getting into the large category. And then, as you know, most buildings are, and I think there's a slide later on in here, are very old anyway, for the K-12s in cities and colleges type thing. On page 6 here, the problems that the portfolio, and there is typically not a portfolio manager person within a K-12 or a city or a college system, but they're usually either the maintenance or facilities is a typical title, a facilities person. Sometimes they'll have a sustainability or an energy manager, but kind of rarely. But anyway, the problem is they can't see energy inefficiency. They can't see energy loss. You know, typically they rely on their ESCO, their Johnson Controls, Siemens, their Honeywells, and those people are not likely to tell them the complete portfolio view of what's up or down or needs help or whatever. Those ESCOs typically will focus on the boiler, the chiller, the control opportunity as the biggest problem, and sell that, of course. But, and I think you know this intuitively, energy is the second largest expense item after payroll. So if you want to put it another way, energy is the largest expense item that's non-payroll. And that means that payroll, salaries, benefits, health, you know, that type of thing, all rolled up into payroll. That is their definitely largest expense item. But energy, whether they know it or not, and whether they've aggregated it and focused on it or not, is definitely the second largest cost. So it's a significant opportunity. And you know, too, depending upon what we're talking about, it's very, very assured that you're going to save at least 10%. And in most cases, according to the EPA, of course, you're talking about 30% savings. In other words, 30% waste is inherently built into these buildings. If you look at slide 7, this is a good slide explaining why there's so much energy loss in building portfolios, because they're so darn old. You know, that most of the buildings were built a long time ago, 20 or 30 years ago. So that's why you have, this is before energy efficiency was invented or thought of, and that's why you have such big problems with energy loss. As I mentioned on slide 8, across the United States, you're starting to see people put into law that you have to benchmark your buildings and disclose the energy score with EPA Energy Star Portfolio Manager. And so New York City is a famous one, Washington, D.C., state of California, state of Washington. Those are at the forefront. But you can see that this thing is going to spread. So, again, you might as well kind of get ready. And a part of the problem is loading Energy Star. The other part of the problem, of course, is maintaining it, keeping it fresh, and keeping up with it. But again, good news is you can automate a lot of this stuff. one way that we've discovered on slide 9 here is to color code the buildings according to their Energy Star score so that the facilities managers and the sustainability managers can really easily see each month when they get fresh utility data which buildings need help. And again, just focus on the red ones. And then someday you'll have no red buildings, right? And then focus on the yellow ones. But for the purposes of all of your served audiences, all the cities that you serve, I think getting buildings out of red would be fantastic. The good news too is all of this information, once we put it in the Energy Star Portfolio Manager, it gets upgraded monthly, and it's that fresh information is usually automated. We do that with the utilities. So slide 10 kind of puts everything I just spoke about into one slide, kind of the way we approach it from using Portfolio Manager by Energy Star. We use the ASHRAE energy audits with US DOE eQuest, and then how we get paid from DSM utility programs or out of the retrofit upgrades, and then the monthly mapping with Google Maps. Slide 11, again, is a repeat from the first slide that you saw. And again, when you look to the right, that's the Google Map view of your portfolio, which, as you know, if you're live on the web, you can zoom in and zoom out, as you can see by those little arrows and pluses and minuses and go left and right and all that stuff. So it's totally interactive. And you can change it to SAT and Earth View and all that stuff. But if you click on the tabular format, that'll be on the next slide, slide 12. That's the tabular format. And there you have, this is New York City, there you have all your red buildings. And again, you can sort them any way you want, but this was sorted by red buildings. And you can see the scores and the color coding. And again, you can change all the scores and color coding. Not that you can't change the scores, you can change the color coding according to the scores. So if you don't want to embarrass some portfolio managers, you can reduce your, like in this case, you can reduce your scores so the color coding isn't so bad. Again, if you look at slide 13, you can zoom in on a particular building, and this is helpful, again, when you want to find out what building is red. It's got all of the details that was input into EPA Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Of course, this population can be changed, but it gives you basically your address, the score, and the floor space, the year of construction, the building ID, all that type of thing. And again, this is really helpful because if you review these monthly with the city on their portfolio, it becomes very, very easy, very fast. In fact, in the case of Des Moines, they actually knew which buildings were red before the report came out, and that, which is what you want, that they actually know what's going on. Right now, most people don't know what's going on, but they'll get to a point where they'll know exactly which buildings are red and need to be upgraded. Now, the energy audit with infrared thermography, which is on slide 14 here, is really helpful because here's a good example. If you look at the pictures, the 3 pictures in the upper right-hand corner, where you see those white plumes coming up the side of the building, that is energy loss going up a stairwell on the second and third one from the bottom there. So here's the side of that building. On your left is the actual picture during the day. On your right is the night picture with infrared thermography. And you can see on your left there's this like blank space, but that's a stairwell. And what's happening is the boiler is actually venting up the stairwell, which, as you know, if you captured that energy loss and prevented it from escaping like that, you would definitely save a lot of, certainly a lot of energy and a lot of money. Now, in that first picture, that's a side building, happens to be the nursery for the office building. This is the city of Los Angeles. That's for Kevin's benefit because he was a resident. But that first slide on the top right is a preschool for the city employees, and you can see on the right there with the infrared thermography and the two plumes of energy loss going up there. Those are right in front of the school. So again, when you walk over it, you would feel it because of all the heat, but you wouldn't see it, of course, or you don't see it. And there's a good example of how you can help certainly non-technical people, the managers, the people that are writing the checks for the upgrades and stuff. How do you know this is occurring? You know, how do you know where the energy loss is? And there's a good example of how you could show it to them. On slide 15, eQuest. If nobody's ever used eQuest, it's very robust, very detailed, has all of the square footage, as you can see, the architectural drawings of the building that we have to input manually many times because people have lost their blueprints for their buildings because they're so old. But then you're able, as you can see on the right there, to build energy profiles after you've loaded all the energy data. And the energy data in EPA Energy Star Portfolio Manager, as you know, is electricity, natural gas, and water. Same thing with slide 16, just another view of eQuest, just so you know what it looks like. Very detailed, very robust, very acknowledged by everybody. Nobody will ever have a question about having done an eQuest audit. They recognize that. And here's another point about doing an eQuest audit. As you know, typically what happens today is you have, let's pick on the City of Los Angeles, we'll call up their approved vendor for the building facilities. Let's say it's Johnson Controls, and say, fix the building, please. And Johnson Controls will run out and do, in 6 to 9 months, an energy audit of that building, and then give the City of Los Angeles a price to fix it. What we're proposing to do, or what we do in this case, is obviously we're doing an audit before we even call up the vendor, the Johnson Controls, the ESCO, and giving them an eQuest already done, which they can modify and change, but it's not a question of is this an acceptable metric or format or protocol for them to receive. Yes, it's eQuest. It's what you do, what you better be doing or you should do, and we've done all the hard work for you. You can adjust it and modify it if you want, but we've done the heavy lifting. So that's a good benefit that now the City of Los Angeles can hand people eQuest audits and say, now bid on this. A little bit easier. It's the proper way to do things, actually. Here's a good example of showing energy loss in Windows. And if you look at that slide, we're on slide 17, of course. If you look at the center where they, in the upper left-hand corner, where you have this building, and if you're looking at the infrared thermography picture in the center there, you'll see this blue box around those 5 white windows in the center of the building. Turns out that's a data center, which is, unless you worked in that building, you'd think it was a fire, right? But that's what's going on, is that infrared thermography, again, helps you identify energy loss in a visual way. And then, of course, that specific data center window treatment can be specifically and customized, designed for that. You know what I mean? You don't do the whole building according to just the macro energy loss problem, but you can pinpoint specific areas and issues that help. So that's a good example. Again, on the right-hand side, that's an infrared thermography with window film. And again, window film is very specific and scientific nowadays. It's got there's all flavors, all types, all sizes that'll help with specific circumstances, both with the building and the energy consumed and the external environment, of course. So it's very important to pinpoint and spec window film exactly to each particular window need. Here's a good example on slide 18 of using infrared thermography in conjunction, coupled with your eQuest audits, to show energy loss underneath the windows of this school. This is Roosevelt High School, which, Kevin, you might remember is in Los Angeles. It's a magnet school. And again, it's an old building, as we see on slide 19 there. But you can see that there's some issues that need to specifically be addressed. And again, I'm just going to roll through the infrared just so you have a good example of it. There hasn't been a lot of use of infrared thermography for whole buildings. A lot of you have seen it being used specifically for plumbing problems or electrical panel problems. But here's a good example of how you can use it for the whole building to just show energy loss and again, pinpoint specific situations. Because if you're, if the portfolio wants to do energy upgrades that have 2-year or less paybacks, here's a quick way to do it. If they want to do things that are 15 years and whatnot, that's great. But most of the school districts and certainly the cities want to do stuff, within their political lifespan, which is 2 years or less. And then here's just another. This slide 22. Here's another image of the front door of actual Roosevelt High School. As I mentioned, our funding comes from utility programs, but also, of course, we do small $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, 2, 3-year, 4-year paybacks to do all this engineering if they wanted it done. Obviously, the Emerald Cities collaborative administration costs would be included in that, but this is a way that you can do small, quick 1-2 year programs that get the whole portfolio cared for and upgraded, and rather than just wait around and do one big project. One of the experiences I had at the Department of Energy is that out of the 2,500 cities, counties, and states we served with the $3.6 billion, most of the projects were just City Hall got upgraded. So out of the 300 or 400 buildings, just City Hall got the nice new upgrades, which is unfortunate. But here's a way to attack all the buildings in a portfolio. And again, it's in 3 simple, fast steps. And that's the other thing that we're stressing here. This whole process can take literally a month or 2. It doesn't take a long time to do everything that we talked about in this PowerPoint. Because you're focused and you have the process down, it's a very quick. Now the upgrades, of course, those would take, the paybacks would take a year or 2, but those are what we're looking at. Fast upgrades like lighting, window film, controls, recommissioning, or tuning, basically just tuning. That's my background if you need to check me out. And that's my contact details on slide 26. But again, Taylor will have this PowerPoint posted tomorrow, so you should have everything. Ready for questions?
Mark, thank you so much. Very, very informative. So we wanted to give everybody an opportunity to kind of absorb the information and ask questions. I know that a lot of our directors are working with cities and school districts and colleges and other portfolio owners now, and also starting to develop those relationships. And it seems like having this kind of a assessment tool available could be very valuable in promoting, sort of the accelerated energy efficiency retrofits that Emerald Cities is looking to help these owners do. And the idea here is the faster you do it, the more money you save. The more money you save, the more money you can put into other things, including the critical workforce and community engagement elements of Emerald Cities activity. So with that, we just wanted to open it up to everyone on the phone to ask Mark any and all questions.
Mark, this is Steve Gelb out in Seattle. Just a quick question. Here, our FOs tend to be mechanical contractors and generally perform the audit and are selling the project. Wonder if you have any information on how that works compared to an organization like yours doing the audit as more of an independent body. And if you do, then who sort of pushes for the retrofit? Who sort of sells it?
Yeah, no, that's what you're saying, Steve. Is the norm? You know, the norm is that the city would invite an ESCO or a mechanical contractor to come in, mechanical being HVAC type, to fix the building. Right? You fix it. And they'll do an audit and come to you with their recommendations. My experience at Johnson Controls is that they would take all the energy savings from the lowest hanging fruit, the lighting and the window film and whatnot, and use that to pay for the boiler and chiller that they wanted to sell. So there is a vested interest on the part of a mechanical contractor to sell what they want to sell and use the energy savings to help subsidize that, the quick payback stuff. So that's a part of the problem. I think, again, if you wanted a comprehensive view of every building in your portfolio and then do an audit which you hand to your mechanical contractor and say, here's the audit we've done, you can beat it up all you want, this is your copy, we're going to give it to you. But that's a much healthier approach. You know, it's like having a second opinion on your doctor that which you have personally.
And
you're right,
I would say, Mark, I was just to add to that, you know, I can think of a couple of sort of present opportunities that are being pursued in a number of the Emerald cities. One being Cleveland, where, you know, Emerald Cities is engaged with Cuyahoga County on a big portfolio of properties, you know, big, small buildings scattered all over the county. And they've done a lot of this work, but they haven't done it in this comprehensive way. So it's hard for them to make decisions. And we've actually run into this where, you know, we've promoted the idea of helping them engage the contractor community to bid on the projects, but the people who are going to make the decisions for the county are kind of stuck because they don't have a complete picture of what's at stake.
Same thing, you know, I think most of us on the phone know Lisa Lynn at City of Houston, which is a leader, right, and thought leader on all this stuff. Their portfolio energy data is, the most current data is March, okay? We're almost December, right? So you're right. Even if you got it loaded at one point, just keeping it up and keeping it fresh. And again, I'm not saying drill down on it every month, but you can look at this little Google map every month, right? You can just, I mean, that'll take you 1 minute. So you're right. That's what they need, is just a fresh look, independent and kind of objective, because we're not selling any, you know, solution. But this way they can say, and you know, too, here's another point. The real reason for whether the building gets an upgrade or a retrofit anyway is usually a political decision, right? So in many cases, they'll look at this red building or that red building and say, blow it off. You know, that's not really what we don't want to do that one, but we're going to do this one. So at least you have cleared that for them. So I forgot to mention one other thing that's critical to Emerald Cities. As a part of our 501c3, we teach students and staff how to do everything I just told you. So all of this loading, Googling, eQuesting, infrared thermography, we teach that locally so that the ongoing transfer of knowledge will be inculcated with the Emerald Cities Collaborative people. Some people want want their staff to be trained. Some people want the recipient staff to be trained. Some people want students to be trained at a community college or high school level. As you can imagine, the kids kill this because infrared thermography and Google Maps, I mean, come on. This is, it's on their iPhone. So this is a no-brainer.
So this is Denise Fairchild, and I'm very excited about this capacity that you're offering us here at Emerald Cities, and really look at an opportunity of collaborating, because this could be a frontline service, first-line service that we offer in with all of our partners, and do it in the way that we like to do it as honest brokers, as you say, and as not someone who's trying to sell you a bill of goods. Can you explain to me, just take Kevin's point, the Cleveland case. How do we engage you? What are the steps? How long would it take? What's actually involved in trying to make... Well,
it sounds like Cleveland specifically, Denise, has already got a lot of this done. And so it's funny, the first step of trust with Cleveland or any city, like Houston, for instance, or New York City, is they give us their EPA logon and password, and we upgrade and refresh all the data, build the Google Maps for them. Whatever data is missing, we do the cleansing. You know, there may be data that's not there that we would fill in the blanks. We have on staff engineers that actually physically walk the properties because, again, we have to do these pictures before and after, and we do daytime pictures, as you saw, of the buildings, as well as the nighttime infrared thermography to capture the energy loss. So all of this takes literally just days. I mean, you know, when the city of Cleveland says, yeah, let's go forward, you know, we would attack their serving utility for the EE funding. If that's not available, we keep looking for other sources. But as a 501c3, we're dressed and on the field within weeks. And you would be able to see a Google map within weeks. We would have this up and going. And again, you're going to have mistakes. The first month it's going to be problems with this building or that building, but we correct it over time, and within a month or two or three, they're looking at this stuff and truly evaluating which buildings they want audits on, which buildings they want to upgrade, which buildings they want to call in their, like Steve suggested in Seattle, their mechanical contractor who they trust and love to fix the problem, you know. But some of this stuff may be self-perform. You know, some of this upgrade, like window film and lighting, would be something they would prefer to perform internally. So, or certainly tuning and commissioning they can do, that type of thing.
Great. And on the training side, are you suggesting that if someone's interested in training that they contact you, or that you might do a national training for Emerald Cities folks, or how do you think we should think about that?
Well, again, let's pick on Cleveland as an example. If Cleveland said, let's do this, like in Wichita, they said, we would prefer if you trained our staff, our city staff of Wichita, how to do this. And I said, fine, you know, if that's what you want. But some people may say, and it depends on Cleveland, you know, we don't want to do this with our staff. We're short-staffed. We want you, Emerald Cities in Cleveland, to be able to do this. So we would train the Emerald Cities staff in Cleveland to do that. Or they might say, no, let's do Cuyahoga Community College. Let's offer it to kids as a part-time job, 20 hours a week to do this. And we would train at Cuyahoga Community College. So wherever the local recipient for the training would be, we would do that on-site locally.
Hey, Mark, Gary Harris in Atlanta. Quick question for you. What's your capability like in terms of unusual building configurations, i.e., data centers where the data center, where the building functions to house the data center? Are you capable of calculating pew numbers and then modifying those pew numbers? And then secondly, industrial sites, can you also apply your technology there, both from an Energy Star perspective and a infrared perspective as well.
Right. That's the question. Gary, is that it? Your name, Gary?
Yes.
Yep. Data centers actually are covered by EPA Star Portfolio Manager. They have a category. Warehouses as well, but usually you have to adapt some things like multifamily public housing authorities are kind of an oddball, and we make accommodations for that. And those will be a lot of your served audiences as well, your recipients. But to answer your question on unusual and strange buildings, that's normal. I mean, can you imagine, most of the city buildings, like the ones in the picture in the PowerPoint you saw of Los Angeles, those are all odd buildings, very strange buildings. So, yeah, we make accommodations for them. As I mentioned, we have professional engineers doing the audits, so they know how to do all the adjustments and make sure that because it's an EQuest audit that's approved by a professional engineer, it's accepted by everybody. It's accepted by all of the vendors and the industry. It's a licensed product, so yeah, data centers are critical. Warehouses, I mean, these are all great opportunities.
So I'm just curious from our local directors, after having seen this, obviously overview very briefly from Mark and heard a little bit of the question and answer, what's your reaction to this? Do you think this is the kind of offer that, would be valuable in conversations you're having with cities and school districts and colleges and other portfolio building owners in your markets? And if not, what adjustments or what augmentations do you think it would need to make it most valuable?
This is Avni with San Francisco. It's certainly a very interesting partnership to think through, and I would most readily think it could be applied to the City College of San Francisco project in terms of getting students trained and excited about, getting involved, benchmarking. On the other hand, I think San Francisco just finished benchmarking all their public buildings, and it's all on Energy Star. So I don't know exactly how practically, where we stand. That's something we could look into. But yeah, it's certainly a very good way to involve, something like a student community where they feel like they're very much a part of the project, which is what we want to achieve. Yeah, so those are my thoughts.
Avni,
one thing on San Francisco with their buildings already in Energy Star Portfolio Manager that Los Angeles wanted to do was to map neighborhoods and to have, and again, I'm not into this, but they're into that, have a competition between neighborhoods. So if you had a segment of South San Francisco versus North San Francisco, let's say, and to see how many buildings that we would put in the map that have red buildings with low scores versus the other neighborhood. Again, I'm not suggesting it. I'm just kind of parroting what LA was thinking of doing. But some, competitions, you've seen that with dormitories and colleges. That's what they usually do with the information.
Okay, good to know.
Avni, I have a kind of follow-up question for you. Do you think that this could be a valuable tool in rolling out the regional nonprofit housing initiative that you've been talking about there in partnership with Larry?
In terms of training residents to
but even just benchmarking all the buildings that a particular nonprofit might own and helping them understand what the opportunities are. I mean, it's a tool both for the assessment and for the training.
Yes, certainly. Certainly. And, to have the staff of the nonprofits, trained to benchmark their buildings, yeah, that would be very useful.
Casey, any
thoughts?
thoughts?
I think the fun part, when they start seeing the energy savings or the utility cost cuts, that's impactful, and that'll help them keep staff and overhead.
Casey, curious as to what your thoughts might be from Portland's perspective.
Hey guys, I'm feeling a little under the weather, so bear with me. I think it would be very helpful to break it down in that simple map way and for people to be able to take a quick glance and get a lot of information. I think it might take time to get people to buy in, so I'm very interested in your ability to find the data through the utilities and also to be funded through the utilities. I think that would be appealing to a lot of commercial building owners as well.
Yeah, a lot of the resistance you're going to get from your cities is that we've already done all this. You get that now. They've already done all this, which is not true, but that's the first reaction you'll get. Oh, yeah, we do this. But again, and then the second thing you're going to run into, or at least experience, is do we keep this internal or do we go totally transparent and put this on the web, which, again, I think you should walk through the internal first and use it as a guidance tool before it goes public.
Yeah, in Portland, we're working on sort of voluntary disclosure, so more of a competition. And more of sort of a positive, let's reward the winners and not highlight the losers. So I do think there would be some opposition to total disclosure.
Yep. Very, very key point, very sensitive, yep.
Now, one of the things, Mark, that I really think is intriguing about your package here is that it is it's open, it's open source, it's very transparent. Even if ESCO or even if staff have done an audit, it's not always presented in a way that is readily understandable and absorbable by decision makers. And I think that aspect of your package is really, really appealing. So even if they've done a lot of the work, being able to offer kind of a new way to present that information for decision makers in and of itself might be very valuable. In the case of a place like Cuyahoga County, where most of the data might be there, but the packaging of it is really prohibiting people from moving forward.
Your point's a good one, Kevin. The state of Minnesota took their EECBG money and benchmarked buildings using a proprietary system, the White Group. And so and again, we're not all flag waving for the EPA Energy Star people, but this is open source stuff. This is Google Maps. Anybody can do this, and we're going to train you to do this. So, yeah, I like that, a transparency and open disclosure a lot better.
Hey, Gary, I was just curious, Gary, if you thought what your thoughts were on being able to utilize a tool like this for some of the new markets, particularly the higher ed markets that you are focusing on in Atlanta.
Well, yeah, I'm not a director, but I play one on TV. So, but I wanted to remark that there's a holiday still spilling over here. Yeah. I thought the tool was awesome and the service itself. But the first thing we did here with the Better Buildings Challenge in Atlanta is to go out and benchmark all the buildings, and we utilized a group of students, just like Mark suggested, from Kennesaw State College, that they formed a entity there. And those are the folks who are collecting the data for us and making it happen. So to have a one-stop shop, if you would, in terms of someone being able to come in and do the assessments and collect the data and make up the fancy maps for us and the easy read graphs. That's an awesome tool that's lacking right here in Atlanta. Atlanta has only assessed 16 out of 46 buildings, so still a ways to go, and still perhaps an opportunity to use this tool as well. So yeah, I would highly recommend it.
How many total buildings portfolio do you know, Gary?
I'm sorry, was someone speaking? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, Gary, this is Mark. I was wondering, you said 16 out of 46 buildings were assessed. I wonder how many buildings in the total portfolio. Is it only 46, or it's probably much larger?
No, Mark, it's more. It's more than 46. Those are the building owners who have decided to participate in the program.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Lots more than 46, and we're still trying to pull in more and such. But again, having tools like this with easy read graphics and things that folks understand, like Google and pins and things like that, and colors, building owners would readily gravitate to it. So again, I think it's an easy tool, and one that's needed as well. But I do have another question. Here in Atlanta, we did have to get special permission from the utilities to get the building data. Have you run into that? And how,
you have to get a permission slip from the building owner to get the utility data. It's usually a one-page form. It's pretty boilerplate nowadays, but for Atlanta Gas and Light, AGL, and Southern Company, it's pretty boilerplate.
Okay.
You do definitely have to get permission, and it's from the building owner to the utility with Help Answers and Emerald Cities as the perform people.
Okay. All right. And we just had a presentation here in Atlanta on the Energy Direct program that's offered by the utility. They have a dashboard database system where they collect data off of the meter, and you can buy various packages. For instance, a silver package, gold package, platinum package, and it feeds back to you various data from both from a absolute perspective, i.e., what's your energy cost and how much energy you're consuming, and also does statistical analysis for you as well, how much variance you have in your energy use across a certain time period. So that's being offered here as a service as well, but by the utility.
Cool.
Any other questions for Mark?
Mark, do you have folks on the ground in cities all across the country, or how do you work?
Yeah, national. So wherever Denise and Kevin Taylor want me to go, we're there.
Hey, this is Casey again. I'm just curious how detailed is it the eQuest audit that you mentioned? It sounds like it's sort of a full-blown audit of all the possible efficiency savings. I've run into some stumbling blocks where people, traditional ESCOs and other folks want to focus more on the low-hanging fruit. And so they're actually more interested in streamlining the audit process just to target the low-hanging fruit and sort of speed up the process from audit to retrofit. I think we all still really want to get to the fruit that isn't low-hanging and that really needs to be done. But I wonder if you have any thoughts on that and an approach.
Oh, no, that's a great question. eQuest does it all, and you can turn on and turn off any component you don't want to do. So at Johnson Controls, hey, we weren't so interested in the windows, right? So we turned it off. But what I would recommend, and you've heard of ASHRAE Level 1, ASHRAE Level 2, and ASHRAE Level 3 audits, eQuest has got all of them. And you know that, like you mentioned, that you're going to want to be doing, because many of your served customers are going to want, I want stuff under 2-year paybacks. I want stuff under 4-year paybacks. I want stuff under 5-year, that kind of thing. And that's the way you'll rank all of the projects. So you'll dictate, when you find a poorly performing building, you'll dictate, do a full audit. I want an eQuest on this thing in 30 days, I want a full-blown audit. And we'll only upgrade the 2-year payback stuff. Then once we do all that, then we'll revisit this before and after and the efficacy and how we did, and let's pick up the next 2 or 4-year payback stuff. So that's a better rolling program. It's kind of like an evergreen Emerald Cities upgrade program that never ends. It's like painting the Eiffel Tower. Once you get painted, you'll have to start again, and that's what's going to happen. But I would recommend using the eQuest just because you're doing it all. You're doing simple stuff like lighting and window film and tuning and controls and HVAC and the rest of it.
Casey, I think your question, your point is really, really important, and this whole conversation and presentation by Mark really brings to light one of the challenges we have in the industry today and in interfacing with our local stakeholders is who controls the information. And part of what I think Mark is putting in front of us is an opportunity to offer our local partners, our local portfolio owners, the opportunity to own their own energy information in a very transparent way, so that they can make informed decisions rather than relying on somebody else, a contractor who may or may not, we don't know, but they may or may not be turning that switch off even if they're using eQuest. In this sense, you own your own information, you can manage your own information, and you can make informed decisions about how you want to approach the solutions. And that is incredibly powerful in and of itself.
And you all have seen, again, I'm not picking on this company, I'm just using them as an example, but Lime Energy has iPads with the credit card swiper on the top, the little, and they walk into a commercial building and they'll do an energy audit within 3 minutes, 5 minutes, right? Click, 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 touch, 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 and here's your bill. Give me your credit card. We're gonna install your lighting tomorrow, and that's kind of common, and that's not an acceptable deep retrofit ASHRAE level 2 or 3 audit. Certainly not eQuest, but that's the problem. You know what I mean? That's considered an energy audit, but it's not acceptable. So that's what I think a lot of us deal with is, oh yeah, we've done all that. Well, what have you really done? So here's, like Kevin is saying, these are all publicly vetted and stakeholder endorsed tools that are yours. They're not ours. We're just filling out the information and coaching and training people, but they're yours.
Any other final questions for Mark? Any statements, any thoughts? Obviously, Mark's contact information, is available to you, and we encourage everyone to contact him. He wants you to contact him, and we'll have further conversations about this. But I do think it's excellent food for thought and potentially a great opportunity, as I think Denise put it, kind of an opening offer and a value proposition for local Emerald Cities stakeholders. I want to certainly thank you, Mark, and really appreciate you putting together this information and making yourself available to our network, and being a friend and a supporter of the organization.
Well, you're most welcome. You would do the same for me, and thank you to everybody.
What I like most about it, one of our core mission is strengthening democracy, right? And what this is a democratization of data initiative, which is let my data go. And so we look forward to freeing the data in all of our local regional markets and making it available for informed decision making.
Perfect.
So there's one other item, I think, for the local directors that Taylor wants to remind you of.
Hey, everybody. I got an email from Felipe just asking that everyone please forward your templates for December 5th to Rosie.
The policy.
For the policy convening, and looking forward to seeing everybody next week.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you again,
Bye
Mark.
now. Thank you.